Hello, my name is Angelina Torquino. I am a journalism student at San Francisco State University, and today I interviewed Ariana Bindman, who works at the Tenderloin Museum, on the basis of what it's been like working amidst COVID-19 and what to look forward to with the museum in the future.
Well, I really appreciate you speaking with me today. And I wanted to say congratulations on the reopening of the Tenderloin Museum. To my understanding, today is the first day open after being closed from COVID-19.
Yeah, definitely. And also, is it cool if I just ask you a couple questions about, like, which school you're a part of and, like, how this is going to be used eventually?
Yeah, sure. I go to San Francisco State University, and I am currently studying journalism. For my class, we are to investigate the neighborhoods we're residing in, and so I was very interested to interview someone who works at the Tenderloin Museum because I know you guys educate a lot on the history of the Tenderloin, and so I thought it would be really informational conversation to have with you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, I'd love to give you some context. Yeah, it's just an assignment for school to create an audio interview with someone that we find interesting. So that's what I'm here to do today.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so feel free to ask away.
Could you tell me a little bit about your job title and what you do at the Tenderloin Museum?
Yeah, so my name is Ariana, and I'm the communications lead. So basically, I'm responsible for kind of communicating the voice of the museum, either through social media channels or through press releases. So basically, I just manage all online forms of communication to the public. And I've been there for about a year now in this role.
How has today proven to be a successful reopening so far?
So the thing is, I'm actually still working from home, so I might not be the best person to talk to just yet for that. And also, we're kind of just open to specifically like museum supporters and donors, so we aren't technically open to the public just yet. That'll be for like another week. But so far I'd say it's pretty successful just based on the fact that, you know, we've gotten some ticket sales, and that's something that we're doing for the first time. So yeah, I would say so far it's going pretty well, just within like our membership space.
So, you're working from home. Is that due to the coronavirus and how that's affected the Tenderloin Museum?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, prior to that, like I was working on site pretty much every day that I was there, but I haven't been back since the shelter-in-place order. But, yeah, so that was definitely a direct result of the virus.
How would you say the coronavirus has affected not only yourself, but the Tenderloin Museum as a whole?
Oh, man. I mean, it's really shifted the way that, like, we carry out our programs, just because, like, in the past, like, that was our bread and butter. Like, we would just produce, like, in-person events and, like, lecture series and host films. And so because we can't really have people like in our physical space, at least to the same degree as we did earlier, we're really trying to kind of push our events to where they exist online. So we pretty much started streaming like all of our lectures, all of our like, you know, recurring program partners. So yeah, like everything is hosted on Zoom for the most part. And then we've also just been kind of hosting like really small scale, like in-person tours. And those are also very limited. Like I think it's maybe 15 people tops. So we did that a couple times. But yeah, I mean, it's really shifted the way that like we operate. And even now that we're going to be reopening, like we can only allow 10 people in the museum at a time. So we have a really strict cap on like who's able to come into space and how they're able to really spend time. So now we even have like time slots where people can only really be in the museum for like an hour and a half at most with people from their own household. It's pretty much restructured like the entire way that we go about our operations.
Wow, that's intense.
So, I mean, it took a while to kind of figure out like what made the most sense for us. So day one is officially today of seeing whether that works.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about the kind of preparation it takes to reopen again. You guys were closed for about 4 months or so?
Since March 17th. So, pretty much since lockdown took effect. And it was pretty abrupt.
Would you say that being closed down and having so many months was able to prepare you guys well for this new reopening?
In a way, I wasn't really too involved in how to strategize reopening. But after trial and error, it really kind of forced us to figure out what might make the most sense. I'm glad that we did have a window of time to kind of communicate with one another and see what would work best. I think it gave us a good window of time to kind of figure things out and experiment and see what works. So I'm pretty thankful for that.
Would you, what types of exhibits are currently in the Tenderloin Museum right now? Is it going to be focusing on COVID-19, or is it going to have the regular lectures that you guys were hosting before? Or has the subject matter changed at all either?
Oh, yeah. The subject matter has definitely changed. We do have a permanent exhibition, which obviously talks about the history of the area, but for our rotating gallery, we're finally putting out our shelter-in-place gallery show, which is just a bunch of curated work from people who have made artwork during lockdown. And so this has been an ongoing community-based exhibition where pretty much anyone can submit, and we kind of just want to include that work and show people this is kind of a window into their own emotional worlds while they're enduring the very real threat of COVID and how they're surviving it. So that's been something that has been in the works for months now. That's finally on display, and I think you can view it for about a couple months. I think November is the end date for this exhibition. So in terms of the art that we're putting out, it's definitely reflective of what's going on. But for our programs, we still are trying to cover a lot of the similar material that we've produced before. So lots of online neon tours, and lots of lecture series with the DSA. I think that's always going to be something that we're going to put on no matter what.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear you guys have a shelter-in-place exhibition too. I think that's really important right now. COVID has drastically impacted the Tenderloin community too. Have you noticed any first-hand differences between the Tenderloin community before and during COVID?
Well, like I said, I'm not there physically, so I don't really see what's going on for the most part, but I've been reading a lot about it. I know that a few months ago, the city of San Francisco was actually sued because they were neglectful of the Tenderloin area, while this was all kind of beginning to really affect it. I know that tent encampments grew 400% or some really crazy statistic. And so, the homeless issue was really compounded by COVID, just because, we need to find a place for them to shelter too. And so that kind of paved the way for hotels getting opened up, in order to house at-risk individuals. But I have to follow up with it again though, just because I know that it's been kind of like a polarizing topic, and it seems to be changing like pretty regularly. So yeah, no, the COVID crisis has totally affected like the homeless issue in the area, and I don't think it's full. So,
how would you describe the museum before all of this? And what types of things would be in there, and what types of events you guys would hold before all of this COVID-19 whirlwind?
I mean, I would definitely like describe it as like a community space, you know, and it's like in some ways that's still true, but it's just not quite the same, just because it's like we have really strict measures in place, like who can come in and when, you know, and it's like prior to that, it felt very familial. Like we would just have like people that we knew just in our surrounding area just like pop in to say hi and, you know, chat with us, you know, and we would work on programs with them. But now it's like everything is much more calculated and a lot stricter. So I guess like the energy feels a little bit different. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, like our neon tours are something that like we did well before lockdown took place, and those are getting streamed online now. And like we still have like the same people tuning in, you know, and like keeping up with them. So it's like our community is like very much like still there, but they just communicate with us differently now. But yeah, no, I mean, I think like our values are still very much the same. I think we're slowly, hopefully, going to ease back into doing programs in person again, but we don't really know what that's going to look like just yet. No, and it's like we're just trying to be really vigilant and pay attention to, you know, what's like what the data is telling us and what the mayor is instructing us to do, just because it seems like it's all very like subject to change.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's good to hear you guys are taking good safety precautions. It's needed, especially in this area too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like it's a very close quarters in that area, so we're trying to protect ourselves and our community like as much as possible.
You mentioned briefly the neon tours. I'm not familiar with what that is. Could you enlighten me on what the neon tours are?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a partnership with an organization called San Francisco Neon, and they're neon historians and preservationists who live in the area. And so we've been doing these like tours with them for years, where they'll take patrons to very specific like architectural landmarks in the Tenderloin and like the Tender Knob area. And we discuss the history. And so those have been very popular. They frequently sell out. And so we figured we would just keep doing them, but instead of, you know, hosting people in groups in person, we would just stream lectures like online, live through Zoom. And so that's like a program that's kind of very much remained the same. And we'll probably continue doing those as well. But yeah, I apologize for not much more context. I kind of just jumped into it.
No, that's all right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell me about the Tenderloin Museum or about your experience working there? What your intentions are for the future with the Tenderloin Museum? Anything like that?
Yeah, you know, I just want to say that, you know, we're very thankful for our like community members of like artists and residents who have, you know, stuck with us, like even during such a like weird, challenging point in our history. So yeah, I think we just want to express like gratitude, and that you know, we hope people stop by and say hi.
Well, I wish you guys the best. And hopefully maybe one of these days I can crash a Zoom lecture of one of the Tenderloin Museum programs.
Feel free to tune in anytime. But yeah, good luck with your assignment. I hope this was helpful for you.
It definitely was. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yes, you too, Ariana. Have a great one.
All right. See you later.